All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, December 11th, 2023 meeting of the Open Space and Recreation Committee. We have a quorum in attendance. So we'll go ahead and get started. First item on the agenda for tonight is meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from our
November 27th.
November 27th meeting?
I'm as basic as possible.
No, to answer your question, I had a chance to read them.
Oh, perfect. Did anyone have any edits, comments?
I don't remember seeing them, so.
Oh, perfect. I don't believe I noted anything.
That seems in order.
Yep, that looks like my memory.
Discussion ensued. It's just, it's a little circular.
Well, if there are no edits or any comments, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. It's unanimous. All right. Is there any public input?
Sure, actually, I will. It isn't a humble opinion. It's a pretty strong one. I went to the Nagog Hill Orchard Working Group information session, which I thought was very good. It was at the library. It was well put on, and then there was a walk. It was a little bit rainy. But yeah, it was interesting. A lot of things sort of came to head. I did invite Sudbury Valley trustees to come in because they hold the APR in Stonefield Farm and Acton, and also help Prospect Hill, Orchard, and Harvard to be secure. And they work with other farms. And one of the things that was mentioned by the new executive director, who, as she pointed out, had 40 years of experience of farming in Vermont, is that the committee seemed to be in over their heads. And it was very doom and gloom, like, this is, everything's in tough shape, which it is. I mean, there's 20 years of neglect. When I was under the charge of the selectmen, and they're saying how hard it is getting people to protect it. And elsewhere, I've heard from one of the selectmen non-voting members there, is that no one wants to oversee the orchard. And it strikes me that that's really unacceptable for any municipality. I mean, we have conservation restrictions, people go out and oversee that and monitor it. And, when there's a void someplace, like we don't have a building inspector, currently, animal control person, we hire someone for that. And there are people that do that, they're field inspectors. And I can understand that some departments might be resource stretched, like the Comm. But we have lands like Church Meadows that for 5 to 10 years we've been supposed to have a CR on top of it and someone oversee it. We haven't done that. Orchard's been neglected. In fact, even parts in town meeting in 2015 where parts are transferred to the Conservation Commission, that's never been recorded with assessors. So I don't, in some ways, Littleton's been spoiled, though the stewardship has all been provided by conservation trust versus under, even volunteers under a committee like Concom or some land use group. So I think that's a real problem. I mean, either we get rid of all the open space goals and, for agriculture and stuff, or we solve it and actually manage it. And it isn't rocket science. People do this all the time. So, this isn't faulting anyone in particular other than lack of perspective. And I keep on showing up at meetings, been cut off and stuff by the chair. So I go out and learn how to do this. I mean, you think of town, everyone want to be a sewer commissioner. They had no idea what they're doing. But here it comes to the farm or other things that are agriculture. We need a professional overseer. Some Concoms have field inspectors. And once again, it's a resource issue, but that's a problem we need to solve. I know there's been talk about having a land use committee. Sometimes that's often more real estate and selling off stuff versus figuring out how to solve things. So yeah, here we are on the open space planning committee. We somehow need to solve that. And anyway, I could go on more and more, but the assessor stuff is way behind. And even for Sarah Doublet, MAP's been off for over 30 years. For Nagog Hill Orchard, it's off in 2015. We need to update stuff so we know what we're doing. Otherwise, it's very hard. Everything's fragmented. So anyway, that's my less than humble opinion.
Well, in our jurisdiction here, open space and recreation, I think recreation is managed by the recreation department.
Yeah.
So those are taken care of.
Yes.
The rest of the open space, I guess, is much more passive. The orchard is a business. I mean, somebody's going to have to actively do that, and it's a money losing business. Otherwise, people will be bidding on it. So the question comes up: do we want the town to be a money losing business, so all the taxpayers pay? And now the taxpayers are paying into it, and they're in competition with private orchards in the area who are trying to make it on their own. So it's pretty tangled web.
Mhm.
But I think we've got down the passive places, managing that, and we got down the recreation. And this is sort of an odd duck because requires active management. And
It requires active management, whether you have someone doing it for profit or hunger relief. And there are a lot of places. I mean, it's also conservation. For the last 30 years, I've worked to protect that whole corridor of, 8 to 10 parcels, large parcels, all interconnected. And it isn't just for being an apple business. It's conservation, which includes agriculture. It can be for profit if that works. But, there's talk about selling off parts of it. And for the last 20 years, the town hasn't been very good managing and monitoring, even though they had complete control. Now they want to back off and sell part of it. And what's our control they're going to have if it doesn't work right? I mean, the trick is not to fragment it. And I can see a for-profit agricultural enterprise, could work fine. They could lease. They could do a 10-year lease. I gave examples in Ipswich that have done that. So people can recoup their investment. Or it can be nonprofit, much like Stonefield Farm is by Boston Gleaners. They do it for hunger relief. And also it's Prospect Hill, Community Harvest, which is there in Grafton. So that's still conservation and it has scenic uses, has passive uses. So it can go either way, but fragmenting and selling off is, I guess, what my concern is. And we shouldn't sell off for a for-profit group. I can see selling off maybe for mission-based, long-term nonprofit that knows how to manage, isn't going to sell it, and is in it for the long run. It isn't going to marginalize stuff.
Well, do we have an action goal for the orchard? I forget.
Well, I think last time we assigned groups responsible for deciding what's going to happen and who's going to manage it. Can we put that next to each?
Eli, are you able to pull that up real quick?
And so I think what we're talking about here is just maybe
research
5% of what we're doing. The rest of it, I think, is covered adequately.
And Church
So I think
Meadows.
we need to proceed with the 95%, not.
No, I agree, but we shouldn't lose track of this because it's been a long trend to sort of ignore and sweep under the rug. And if you don't like it, then let's sell it off, which works counter to all sorts of goals, from master plan, open space to, I mean, the town made a commitment to purchase it, got money from the state, got huge discount from the Morrisons, and being out there with the neighbors are really concerned too. It's more than just agriculture business. And once again, if it's a valid agriculture business, whatever type that fits in there, that's great. Maybe it's part of it, but we shouldn't fragment it. We shouldn't sell it off. The conservation goals sort of override a lot of that as well. So anyway, that's my pitch. It's we needed a process. And the same thing with the town meeting 2015 Article 8, according to Sarah Seward, that parts of the orchard were turned over to the Conservation Commission. That's never been followed through with the assessor's office. That's a long snake stuff. We need some sort of process. Anyway, that's my take.
Thank you, Don. Let's see here. So our next item, for tonight is, updates from Dodson and Flinker. And with us tonight, we have Eli. Good evening, Eli.
Hello, everyone. So I'll just start with, so I heard someone ask if I could look into if there was an action goal around Nagog Orchard. The only thing that refers to Nagog Orchard is evaluating the potential for expanding community gardens and farms. It says consider Nagog Orchard and other locations for community gardens. So that's sort of a no, I guess, in terms of at least what we were just talking about for managing the orchard. But so I just wanted to say that since we were on the topic. And so I'll say the update is I have incorporated everyone's feedback. So thank you for everyone who sent that. Alicia, I'm still working through yours. So that's the one exception is
I'm so sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. So that's the one thing that's outstanding in terms of updating from all of your responses. The plan is to have the remaining sections drafted and sent to you all for review by the end of the week, hopefully by Thursday. So that would be the section on environmental conditions, section 4, so it's soils, vegetation, geology, sort of those underlying environmental conditions. Section 1, which is the statement of purpose, or sorry, the plan summary, and section 7, which is the analysis of needs. The analysis of needs is probably the one that's the most subjective, so I would welcome discussion about that tonight to give me a little bit more guidance, other than just looking through the survey and looking through past community meeting notes and the action plan to create that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you guys incorporated the information from the statistically valid rec study in there?
In the analysis of needs?
Yeah.
We will.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we want to continue discussing the goals and objectives based off the current version that incorporates everyone's feedback. I don't know if the people who I didn't hear from, if you still have changes you want to make, or if you're okay with it as is presented last week. And Andrew, do you have a thought on what the best way to go through that all is?
I'm sorry, Eli, did you say Andrew?
Yes.
My hearing is a little off tonight. Maybe we could bring it up briefly tonight, just to kind of skim through it, without getting too bogged down, and just go over what's been submitted, and we'll just go as quickly as we can and kind of look at what's there, just in case something was there that perhaps wasn't noticed before, that the committee members wanted to update.
Sure. So I think mostly the feedback is very specific, tweaking language. Jerry had a couple of, I think, 1 or 2 actions that they wanted added in. And
no surprise to anybody in the lake. I did hear something really interesting, just as a little aside. Apparently going on Route 20 around Silverton, they're putting in a floating path around the lake. On the back end of the long lake, that was feeling really hard to get around there. They put in like these little barges that people walk across, and I thought that would be awesome.
And where's this?
We just pitched it to Amy, 2 weeks ago.
Wait, what?
It's not a float.
Anything to me?
The floating dock sections that are walkway.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
It was totally independent. The way
That's
how I
so
heard about it.
funny.
I
Yeah.
think you're just talking about a fishing pier type thing.
No.
No,
Yeah,
so,
you can use them as like actual walking paths.
yeah, so we're
in
talking
water,
about
yeah.
having the pathway go all the way around the lake.
Yeah,
And it's always been a problem, that area in the back there. You'd have to go way back behind the swamp onto solid ground and come around. But I think people, if they walk around the lake, they like to walk around the lake and see the lake. And you can actually put these floating paths in. That you go around that whole, right to the edge of the swampy area there, and you put that in. Thought that would be a lot of fun.
go for it.
How do we pay for it, Jerry?
Well, let's not get distracted.
They put the tolls on bridges, don't they?
Ooh, ouch.
So it's toll
A
on it.
little slot machine.
So,
Anyway,
Jerry just actually added in one action, which is under section 4B, which is educate and engage residents in everyday practices to enhance the protection of water bodies. I won't read the whole thing. That's the objective. But the action is to monitor progress on Long Lake water quality improvements, utilizing the above three actions. And if improvements are unsatisfactory, then start exploring a new location for the town beach at the Wholesome Quarry once it becomes available for reuse.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So how, I don't know, Jared, if you want to speak to that a little bit, and we can decide as a committee if we want to include that.
Yeah, so just, I put it down as a long-term thing, in that they keep building more houses, keep putting more bedrooms in houses, and all these houses are upstream of the lake. They're on this hill. Eventually, all we know what flows downhill. So the lake is gonna, what do they call it? Eutrophication. Essentially, it's going to become all weeds because of all the nutrients going in there. So I think we need to look long-term for where we're gonna go for a swimming area when that happens, if we can't stop it from happening. And the quarry someday is going to be at the limit of how much rock they can get out. And that's essentially, they dug the hole for us. And they have little fissures that spray water in from the sides that they're currently pumping out. So that, I think, would be a good location for a water recreation area for a swimming beach. And maybe that's 20 years away, but it's something that we need to, I think, keep in the back of our minds.
Yeah. Next plan.
And you see that
Just
some
put my
places.
name on it.
The
But
problem
that
is-
goes a little bit to Lauren's comment also about having a statement up front that these goals, a lot of these goals are pretty aspirational
Yeah.
and they go beyond the 5 years and staff time.
And that was one of the things I had mentioned, about the, when it talks about the fields and in, implementing the different phases.
Yeah.
Cause financially, over the next 10 years, I don't think realistically the town's gonna be able to do that. So we have to maybe think more fiscally responsible on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point, how do you accommodate people that can't swim completely and comfortably because it's over their heads once you enter?
No, it doesn't have to. It can be,
But that's.
it could be great.
For 10 years from now.
So
It's
when we say
not-
long-term,
Yeah.
I'm thinking long-term is beyond 7 years. Now you're saying seven, this is a 7-year plan we're doing?
It is,
And then
yeah.
beyond 7 years,
Well, you can project.
it's dropped off?
Yeah.
No, well, so
but
that's
just
the question,
acknowledge,
right? How do you interpret what, is there anything in there, Eli, that says like, when we're referring to a short-term goal, it means it's only gonna take 1 to 2 years, or a medium goal is gonna take 3 to 5, and then the long term is that the 6 to 7, or do we have something more expansive than that?
I think the way that I meant it and was trying to communicate is that was started, like what to sort of set priorities for which goals and actions to take. Another way to think about it would be to go highest value, medium value, or value, highest priority, medium priority, lowest priority. The order, because also obviously the timeframes are very different on a number of these actions. So we could change it to high priority, medium priority, low priority. If you guys think that would be more clear. And I think another big picture question is the purpose of this action plan to say we're going to do all these actions, or is the purpose we should have a lot of things in here because then when there's a grant, we can say this was in our open space and recreation plan and we have this written down and it's been approved by all these boards. So should we have more things than are feasible to accomplish, which it seems like there's consensus this is more than is feasible to accomplish.
I mean, even if you look at the stuff last year from 2016, there's only, I would say, a handful of things that we really have fully accomplished and there's a lot still left on the board that is just kind of moving over into this year. So,
And I don't mind having short-term, midterm, long-term,
yeah,
because something might be high priority, it still might take 7 years.
right. So I that's what the question is like, then should we clarify what those values mean, the short term, medium and long, or just let it be a little bit, determined by user, if you will.
And a lot of these are also gonna be, if there's someone who really wants to push one of these,
Right,
then it's gonna advance.
right,
If it doesn't have someone who wants to stand up for it, then it's not.
Or an opportunity opens or something
right.
external that drives it.
But I think to agree, that's why if we take more and just like sort of introductory stuff to say some of this is aspirational.
Right.
Or pull out a really long, have this be the 7-year plan and have at the end of it, maybe some longer term mentions or something. So,
I think
they don't
that's an
get lost.
interesting idea. Yeah,
I mean, I guess I would say, like, the plan is in place for 7 years. I don't think it makes sense to limit it to 7 years of planning. Right.
But
We-
theoretically, well, at least with the master plan implementation committee, they come back maybe every year or so and say, hey, what have you done?
Yeah.
Sure, but if you only, I guess, I mean, I haven't looked at the master plan closely, but I imagine there are things in there that go beyond 2030.
Yeah. No, I don't mind having longer term stuff on there as long as we acknowledge that it's.
Right.
No one's gonna look at the quarry until the quarry's
No.
maybe a year or two away from being closed,
right.
whenever
Yeah.
that may or may not be.
And on the flip side, I think it's good to have it there, to everyone's point, because if that moment comes and say there's a whole totally different group of people for whatever reason, somebody will be like, hey, they thought of it back in, 2024 about making this a potential swimming situation for the town. Perhaps we should look at that before we fill it in.
Right, or somebody should be periodically checking in with the owner and.
The aggregate.
What's your?
Oh.
What's your,
Plan.
do you have a window? Do you have, is there an end in sight or no? But
Here's Corey.
Yeah, so it sounds like, board members are amenable to leaving that in and.
yeah, I think having it in, we may wanna look at I've not sort of looked at the text specifically, but.
I just talked about continuing to measure the water quality at the current beach.
Well, I
That
mean, I
becomes
guess, I feel like that, really, those are two different things, so. The developing of water site at the quarry is one issue, maintaining the water quality at Long Lake to me, is a separate issue. I would say you would do the quarry even if Long Lake was still functional.
Oh, see, that wasn't my thought. My thought was if nothing else can be done to the town beach and the lake to make it swimmable, then you jump over.
We're
Oh, we have two
so
towns.
overwhelmed. I know, we're so overwhelmed with just the one singular beach. Like, I would totally say 2 would be a good option.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But there are long-term visions there, like the cross-town trails, it's a long-term vision. And opportunities pop up maybe and you do it, but that sort of vision goes way beyond 7 years.
Okay,
And that
so I
stuff's
think,
all included, the trails.
Yeah,
Sorry.
pond to pond.
so
trail
Star, do
trails.
you want to
Yeah.
take out all that language I had about water quality testing and just make those 2 separate things?
Well,
Or,
Ed did, the Lakes Committee did have Well, certainly dealing with Frog Pond. And then pursuit of best management practices for stormwater treatment around Littleton Lakes, similar to the Frog Pond. Again, to me, some of these things, maybe not so much this, are getting out of the open space and recreation plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thing to a degree. So we're going to have some of that, and then we can put in the quarry as almost a separate issue.
Right.
That, even if Long Lake is fantastic.
Yeah.
Water quality.
Okay, Eli, so I guess what I'm hearing is a lot of that in there about the water quality, just scratch that all out, just have a long-term look at the quarry as being a, not an alternate, but an additional.
But sort of lake
Future-
water quality will be a
future-
separate.
Yeah, future water.
Right.
recreation.
Yeah.
As another potential opportunity.
And then we're probably also moving that to a different objective, which I can probably just figure out outside of this meeting, which objective.
No, that's
that
okay.
fits into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, great. Just put a note in there. Okay, and it sounds like generally people feel like a statement should be added about this being an aspirational set of actions, but generally okay with including so many things.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well,
There were a couple things in there. I wasn't sure where they came from, and maybe they came out of some of the public meetings, on kind of climate change, sustainability. One was, I don't know, getting everybody together to decide what climate change in Littleton was, I think, something like that. And the other one was getting a university or college or something to help out. Did those come out? I don't know where those came from.
Yeah, those.
Maybe Marin put something in. MAPC came to Littleton, to the planning board, and they are putting together the natural hazardous group that comes under NEMA as, you know, what sort of risks are there. So that's sort of climate change and.
Well, we're doing a hazard mitigation plan.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that may eventually fit into like a climate action plan in general. So maybe it comes from that flavor.
Well, I know she didn't have it, so I just wasn't sure if it was,
so just.
because it was under conservation. I put it back under sustainability committee or something. Because
Are you
that's
referring
another
to
one,
the one that says explore options to partner with the university to complete research on climate change impacts?
that was one of them.
Yeah, I think
That's one of them.
the workshop.
Okay.
And then there's coordinate an interdepartmental review of potential impacts of extreme storms, drought, and other potential impacts of climate change on natural resources, water supplies, recreational infrastructure, and community health. And then some other stuff about MVP and grants in there too.
Yeah,
So-
some of that's under the hazardous mitigation plan, but
Right. I guess to answer your question, I can't answer your question. I think, you know, I am working on refining these goals, but these were things that Jack wrote based on feedback from public forums and committee meetings with you all.
right.
And the survey. So I would say those are the three things that went into creating these. But attributing it to a specific thing, I'm not sure how to do that.
No worries.
Well, so we have to assign ownership for these things. That's,
Who has ownership of that? What we were just talking about.
the hazardous mitigation
Yeah.
plan, that's the fire department runs it.
Okay.
Everybody puts input to it, and it is more on the infrastructure
Okay.
side of things
Yeah,
than anything else, so we're getting invasive species and stuff in there too, but,
Is that something we should check in with Clancy about?
I say just put his name on it.
Oh, he'll love that.
Just say no, in 2 years, someone's coming after you. I mean, I sent, Sarah Rombacher, who's the chair of the sustainability, an email and said, you know, this kind of sounds like your guys' stuff. And she said, very interesting, but you know, nobody has the staff,
Yeah.
the capacity.
I'm wondering, you know, I hate to keep pointing to boards that don't exist to take on some of these things, but a lot of towns have climate initiative committees and
Yeah.
others that
Yeah.
address things like that. So maybe for this one, we could suggest, the
Creation
select
of it.
board, the creation of a climate initiative committee to address these,
Because that was sort of Sarah's response too, is, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have a sustainability director?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
Aspirational.
Yeah, so the
So-
sustainability committee, we keep on pushing for a climate action plan, the way Acton has, and Harvard has done some stuff, but a lot of towns do that, especially in the coastal areas where they're really feeling the impacts. That's happening here too, and people are a little slow to getting going.
And they have staff.
But it needs to be put together and it's integrated in different boards. And actually, one of the presentations at MACC was from Tom Birmingham of Canton, and he gave a model which made a lot of sense. And the various components like open space and recreation plan is one component, master plan's another component. And you know, we talk about natural hazard mitigation plan. I mean, essentially things get integrated that way. So yeah, it does fit in the overall umbrella selectmen. So if you want to put names against it, it's in that role, I think. Climate action plan, I think, is our future. The state pushes for this too.
So, so perhaps, Eli, maybe we could do select board and then, creation of this committee underneath that to address.
They can all kind of be folded into that.
or let them decide how to dole it out, because
Yeah.
I mean, we can't find enough volunteers for the committees that exist.
True,
Yep.
true.
Making more is not gonna help.
You raise a
Help the
very good
cause.
point.
So, yeah, maybe it's sustainability and add resources, but there's not like creating another committee and hoping to get, you know, 5 more people or 7 more people to be active in it is.
Well, the people from existing areas and grants more work, but sustainability committee has been pushing and Martin suggested that we bring it to the selectmen. So this is, I think, gonna happen.
So maybe, for our purposes tonight, select board.
Yeah.
And then
Let's do that. That's good.
that works. Let's do that, Eli.
Where the sustainability director is, it's probably gonna be under the planning, you know, questions going back and forth. And I think that's the last place people talked about it.
What were you gonna say, Eli?
So it sounds like we will keep the sustainability committee assigned to those other actions in addition to a climate initiative committee. So that there's possibly 2 different entities that could take it on in case this committee is not formed.
No, I think we'll just put it under select board, all of it, and then,
Because the select board would have to create this committee for them to take those things on, similar to some of the action items mentioned, like a grants manager, which doesn't exist. That's not a
Right.
position that exists, so we would have to hire for that.
So I meant some of the actions are already assigned to the sustainability committee. I thought you were saying we would keep that in addition to a climate initiative committee, or should we take all of those climate things that would be assigned to this committee and put them as select board?
I would give preference to the select board in most of them because it would be ultimately up to them to decide how to.
Yeah, and sell it to the town.
And you can certainly-
Down.
You know, usually the way I see those things is the first group listed as the ones in charge, but they're coordinating with anybody else who's listed in that.
Eli, can you share the section you're looking at, just so we can make
Yes,
sure that
I think that's a good idea. All right.
I'll give you the ability to share here. Okay, you should be good.
So can you all see my screen, this Word document?
maybe.
I
see it.
I make it big screen because we
Yeah.
see your whole,
Can you
Yeah.
do a full screen motion on the, yeah.
no, it's on
Okay.
his computer.
Oh, that's up to me and then presenting
Yeah.
options.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry, there. So did I do something?
No, you're good.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's good.
Oh, okay. All right.
Actually, if you
Zoom in
could
more.
potentially
So it's a woman
zoom in
at
on
the
the
table.
bottom, that would help.
Sorry, if I zoom
Yeah,
in.
that would be perfect.
Oh, that's too far.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
There we go. Oh.
That's
Oh,
good.
that
That's
works.
good.
That's good. All right.
As everybody shifts down this end of the table.
Okay, so these were the goals I was referring to, 3B1 and 3B2. Do we now make these 3B2 and 3B3? We add in a climate initiative committee as 3B1 and then assign all three of them to select board, or do we keep the sustainability committee on here in addition to the climate impact committee? Climate initiative committee.
I think I would add select board before every every responsible party in that category. And then when it comes to including a climate initiative committee, that since it doesn't exist, that would just mainly be through the select board. It would be their discretion to create such a committee to
A way
Right.
of doing this.
But do
yeah.
you like shift all of that down and have that be the first thing, like the first 3B1, and then the other ones will be B2 and B3? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Because there should be something in there that says like, well, this step has to happen before these other things can.
No, because I don't know that we need an additional committee. I think,
I hear you on that.
Don't even mention climate action.
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't even, I would leave it. If they decide on their own that they want a different committee to do it, then they can do it
Okay.
on their own. But
Okay.
I would leave it with the sustainability committee and the select board. Oh, yeah.
Perfect timing.
Sure, put my name down.
Almost got it in before we got it.
So add the select board, but keep the sustainability committee.
yeah.
Yeah, I would keep them on there.
Okay, and also add. It seemed like you're just saying you don't want to add another committee, but some people do. Do we want to add another action to add a committee?
I would probably leave it as is for now. I mean, Saul raises a very good point that we're kind of struggling to recruit people for a lot of the offices. But at a later date, if the select board did maybe decide to create a committee to address this, then we could take it up then. But I think for now, just having it go through select board and sustainability for many of the categories works well.
Okay.
So let's put select board at the top in those two boxes.
Yeah.
They just got a note there to do it later, I think.
Great. Well, that's easy to do. So in terms of moving forward with the action plan, would it be best I could send out another copy with that has everyone's feedback from tonight and the reviews, and give everyone a chance to read that over again. So that seemed like that
Yeah.
would work well.
That would be very helpful. And then if maybe there was something conflicting with, you know, the interests of some committee members, we could raise it and take it up at the next meeting. But I think that'd be a good move for us.
Yeah, I'll say the comments were very minor, adding, committees to actions. I think Jerry was the only person who added a new action, so it shouldn't really be feel very different than what you've already seen.
Perfect.
Great. So, one thing I thought. Sorry, Andrew, we haven't discussed this before the meeting, so I'm not sure how far into the OSRP you want to get, but section 7, the analysis of needs, I think having a discussion about that would be helpful in terms of drafting that section.
Certainly.
So the analysis of needs is broken up into resource area needs, community needs, and management needs and potential change of use. So resource protection needs, I think what I've been hearing from the meetings and from the survey is, water quality is a huge priority for this community. Protecting agricultural lands, not wanting to lose more farms. I think that could probably goes under resource needs, but could be under community needs as well. Yeah, as those kind of the two biggest resource protection needs are water quality, protecting riparian areas, and protecting farmland. And I'm just curious to hear what the committee thinks about what the biggest resource protection needs are.
I think you touched on two of the, if not the biggest, preserving water quality and agricultural operations in place. I mean, I think that's those are what the community in the past has really pointed at is
But is that, I'm not exactly sure where these are. This is where I always get confused between the action goals and the needs. Is this where you put land acquisition also, or is that a separate,
Yeah.
is this kind of a,
Are you talking about specific parcels or?
no, I'm just, in terms of, you say this is resource protection?
Mhm.
Do you have the document open? Can you share that, Eli? And then maybe that would help if we can see what you're talking about.
I can show you the previous plan, what we had in there. How, I don't know why all the Littletons are highlighted. There we go. Can you all see this okay?
I can't.
A little bigger would be good.
Yeah, if you can bump it up in size, zoom in.
Notch or two.
That's
Perfect.
So, summary of resource protection, land resources, water resources, and then it goes on to the community needs. So
this is a list of resource needs and what's been done?
what's been
I'm just
done,
trying to figure out what goes in this section.
what's been done, and also describing the issues that the town has. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, I would say the last plan is pretty, it's written mostly in generalities. It doesn't get into that many specifics. But yeah, what are the major the water resources that need to be protected? What are the issues, like the needs around land? Is it too much land is vulnerable to development? Is it that invasive species and climate change are a big issue? Is it
Well, wouldn't all of those needs be based off of the survey that you guys did and all of the public hearings that we had?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. There's a lot of guidance in there. I just thought the committee might want to weigh in before I move on with writing it.
I mean, does the shade tree bylaw go in here?
The tree protection bylaw,
Whatever it be called out, yes.
it should be.
In this section. That's what I'm asking.
That was the other one, yeah, that's why I'm not quite clear what goes in here, and what goes in the action and goals.
Yeah, because I did just see a mention of the local wetland bylaw too. We could throw in the 50-foot notice or,
So is it kind of a combination of both then, right?
yeah.
I think
get
that
the point. I was like, give me something to read, and I'll comment on it.
Yeah.
I can't create it.
So Eli, if possible, maybe the best way to go about reviewing this is if you could somehow get I don't want to put too much pressure on you to get the comments from the surveys and all the other input into the new version of this, and then perhaps send it out to the committee for review. Does
yeah,
that sound?
that's absolutely fine. That I can write it and send it out by the end of the week, and hopefully earlier than the end of the week.
Perfect.
Yeah, I thought just a preliminary conversation might be helpful, but I also understand it's hard to wrap your head around the section now.
Perfect. And were there any other materials that you wanted us to kind of review or give you some input on?
No, I've incorporated all of the comments for sections 2, 3, and 5 that I've gotten. So I don't know if it's necessarily helpful to send those out again until there's a final draft that has everything. Again, most of the comments, well, I would say that there were Mark and also the town planner were the sent more substantial comments, and the water department sent a lot of comments, but those were mostly just factual, just helping fill in all the details about the water supply.
Eli, who was on that for Light and Water?
I believe it was Corey. Amy
Okay,
might
perfect.
know. She sent it to them, but
Okay.
I have the name Corey in my head, and that's the one who works there. Then it's probably
Yeah, Corey Godfrey.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Would you all like to see those sections right now, or would you prefer to focus on what you haven't received yet? I don't want to overwhelm you or myself with too many documents.
So Eli, you said 2, 3, and 5 had the comments incorporated.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of sending those out one more time as well, just for finalization?
That's what I'm asking is, would you prefer I send those out or wait until there's a draft that has everything and then send the whole draft out?
I don't think it would hurt, to send them out to the committee members before the final draft is, put together, just because, sometimes going through section by section is a little easier.
Yeah.
Sure.
When we're sending documents, at least myself anyway, I get distracted very easily.
Yeah, great. So
Yeah,
I
I'd
will
rather
send
see it
those
now.
out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I would say, if you had a comment that wasn't, I don't know what the best way for me to go back and forth with individual committee members is. I try to incorporate every comment, but if it didn't make sense to me, or I felt that, I read it and didn't, feel like it was a better change to the report, I'd be happy to have a back and forth with anyone over email, but I'm not sure what's the best way to communicate with individual members is, or if that's just something that we shouldn't do.
That might get a little tricky, but I don't think we're gonna run into that problem with our board
Yeah,
here.
but I think clarification of, one comment that Saul had between he and Saul is probably,
Oh, yes,
Fine,
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
If you're
Okay,
doing the comments one-on-one. it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, you can't do the
You
whole.
can't say, hey, Saul, to everyone, what were your comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
I think it's also kind of a matter of you deal with that issue as needed.
yeah.
There
Sure.
might be like a couple, or if there's like a lot, I mean, I don't know what we're talking about.
It's not a lot. It's just some comments where there's a comment and I think, oh, I'm not sure this person understood what was said, or maybe, some things conflicted between comments that I got from the town planner and community members. So there's various examples where I guess I'm saying I hope everyone knows that I read all the comments and thought about them all, and if they're not in there, it wasn't because I ignored them. But they're
But
almost
you actively threw them out.
But you should have everybody's contact information. So if you need to reach out to individuals,
Sure.
I mean, you can totally do that. I think everybody would be open to that. If not, you can reach out to Amy and I, and we can foster that conversation for you too.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll send everything that you've already seen. I will send again the revised version tomorrow. And I will send sections 1, 7, and 4 by the end of the week. And then the remaining sections are all basically just the action plan. So kind of broken up into different sections. So that's yeah, I don't think that needs to be reviewed, other than just reviewing the action plan as a whole.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What's section 6? Is that the plan?
Section
That's,
6.
We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, but not 6 tonight.
No, community vision. That's all right.
Yes. So yeah, that's the description of process and the statement of open space and recreation goals. So I was including that under the action plan for it's included in that matrix. I'll say the community vision Jack had written up with I believe in meetings with you all and then reviewed at a public forum, and I guess I was thinking that is finalized, but I can send that out for review as well.
That might be good, just so
Just
we
to
can
make
double
sure.
check. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
When are you hoping for comments on 1, 4, and 7?
So it's a tight timeline, I realize, but maybe well, I guess I'm curious to hear what you all think is reasonable for you. Because I guess I would hope for them by early the week of the 18th, so that I could make all of the changes and send them out before, Christmas week. Send them out, by the end of the week of the 18th.
Should we aim for by the end of the weekend again?
Is that
That works so well.
So hold on though, if you're giving us sections 1, 4, and 7 by the end of the week,
You know,
yeah.
okay, and you want, so the end of the week is gonna be the 15th, but you want responses by the 17th?
No.
Realistically in 2 days?
I have no life, that's okay.
Yeah, I think all the
I
staff
have no
members-
life, God love you.
Yeah.
Ow.
I think that for all the staff members, I could never ask for that. No, do you think by the 19th that would be possible to have them all
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
with an aspiration for the 17th or 18th?
When do you leave?
Friday.
And
I don't think there'll be internet access.
I can send them as they're finished too and get them to you hopefully before Friday, maybe even
That'd be great.
by Wednesday. So I'll just send them as quickly as possible, and all of them will be done by the end of the week.
Okay.
But some hopefully earlier.
So aim to get it back done by the 19th.
That's like the deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send it in on the morning of the 20th, it ain't happening,
Not included.
not included.
I'll probably still include it. Please don't.
Do we have another meeting?
We would have to schedule that.
Okay.
We'll have to schedule that. Before we jump into scheduling the meeting, I did just want to touch on mapping a
Mhm.
little bit. How's that coming along, in terms of where we stand with the different plan maps? So I know we very briefly touched on them a couple of meetings ago. I'm just curious to.
You mean like the map we had on the wall here, that was all
Yeah.
marked up, translating that into.
I
the
have that
plan?
in my office, by the way, if we still need to bring that out.
Well, did Eli get it?
Of the big map?
The big map, yeah,
With all the comments.
Yeah, they had
They
that.
had them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I believe all the maps are done except for the action plan map, and the inventory map will need to be revised with the updated inventory. But other than that, all of the maps are completed. We don't have many of the optional maps, but the mandatory maps are in there. Is there a specific one you're thinking about?
No, I know we had touched on like environmental justice and a few others. Those are all.
Environmental justice is not included because there are, actually, no, sorry, that did make a map for that. It has the EJ communities and surrounding towns, but there are none in Littleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
But yeah, the maps have just been including in the sections as they've been written, so that's where they are.
like the geology maps and soils maps and that
Right.
kind of stuff, yeah.
Yep.
So what else is outstanding still?
So inventory and action plan now.
Yeah, and the inventory, I've just been working on with Amy and Alicia. So that's pretty close to completed, thanks to Amy's filling in a lot of blanks for me.
Hopefully it's sorted okay.
Uh, yeah, it's sorted out fine. So yeah, that's just something I've been working on with Amy and Alicia, but that can be reviewed by the committee. Yeah, I guess we could. You probably would like to see that before final first draft is sent in.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can try to.
Are you talking the map or the listing of all the parcels?
Oh, the map.
Yeah,
I
the
think
listing is gonna be kind of useless.
Yeah, the map, I think, would be helpful to. take a
Okay,
look
you would
at.
like to see the map, but not the spreadsheet.
Yeah, the actual listing, especially with Long Lake Park, I mean,
Oh, God.
yeah.
Tim went through every damn parcel in there about which ones are self-help and which ones aren't.
You're a champion.
Reading like it's 1948 deeds.
Oh, no.
But we have it. We have it.
Excellent.
Yeah, you all bought a lot of small parcels. You're like, that's for sure.
Yeah, but we've had many conversations about trying to put as many together as we can, right?
Right, that would definitely make it easier for the next
Yeah.
person, or harder and just kind of confusing.
Yeah, throw away because it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. All right,
All right, so we'll take a look at,
date. for
oh,
next
yes,
meeting.
for the next
Yeah.
meeting, let's take a look at our calendars and see. What we have.
I'm just throwing this out here. Everyone can say their piece. The only time that we have been able to effectively meet is on the last Tuesday of the month, which is the 26th. So that is the day after Christmas, so I don't know if that will truly work or not.
So I actually will not
Yeah, you
be
won't
in
be
the
here.
area at that time as well.
Okay.
Until 10 o'clock. Do we want to follow up and maybe do the day after New Year's?
Second,
That's still kind of a time of year. It's always so difficult.
right. Will you be out the whole week of the end of December?
No, actually, so I'll be back in full business the 27th.
Okay.
I'll be out that whole week.
Anybody else? You're gonna be out?
Oh, never mind.
I will be out.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. And that makes a huge difference. Thank you, Eli.
Sorry.
How about that first week in January? What does that look like for you, Eli?
I am around. I can meet that week.
We have Concom on the second, but
Oh, we do.
that's a 7:30 start if you wanted to double, back to back.
I won't be around in a second.
No.
No, either. That week's gonna be challenging for me.
Yeah.
I hate to push it out even further, but maybe the 9th.
With our commission.
Okay.
Would Monday the 8th,
6:30.
this is Monday.
With
Oh,
6:30, yeah.
Yeah.
This is Monday.
Yes.
Would Monday the 8th work?
Monday the 8th? Okay.
That would work for me.
Sure is that? I'm sure. But you're this week. Don't be in another meeting.
If you're 5:30, I can be a little bit maybe.
Potentially.
Select board, right? What about the 3rd, January the 3rd?
It will be on a plane. The 8th is probably our.
Yeah, is that? All right.
So is the goal for the eighth document that's more or less complete?
Yeah, so
And
by,
then one more review after that type thing, and so.
yeah, so we'll review, 2, 3, and 5, which are fairly intact once more by email. Eli's gonna get us 1, 7, and 4 by the end of the week. We'll review that, get the comments, along with, the draft maps. And then, yeah, so by the next committee meeting, we'll do
And 6.
oh, and 6.
6 will be in the first batch. maybe.
But 6 is gonna be looped into the action plan, if I'm remembering correctly.
6 is the community, whatever it is.
Yeah, and a statement of the
Community
goals, which
vision.
are the same goals in the action plan.
And that's the one you said that you thought we had already finished with Jack.
I, not the section, but all of the relevant information.
I got you.
Which is
Okay.
like the vision and the goals.
So the, go back is then is the new plan, goal, whatever we're gonna call it, basically at the end of January, or is it the 8th,
Well,
right?
well, it's not the 8th,
Yes.
because once we have it together, who has to sign off on it?
So we'll have to ask the various entities that are represented in
Yep.
town for endorsement letters. So the draft as a whole will go
Oh,
out,
it's like everybody.
like historical, park and rec,
Right.
you name it, water, select
Conservation.
board,
Yeah.
Concom.
Tom Clancy.
Tom Clancy.
And then, once we have those letters, then we're in very good shape to just,
Or the,
So that's at least a 2-week, at least a 2-week.
that'll, yeah, so the end of January might be doable though.
But is that okay with you? Because that's what we were kind of basing it off of, you applying for
Figure out how
grants.
that happen.
It's not gonna happen. Okay, so then we're good then. Okay, awesome. I mean, not awesome, but we'll take it.
I get you, Chris.
so the goal is that this committee's work is basically done on January 8th, and then it goes to other committees to get something after that.
Not until we have it like delivered to the state.
Yeah, I understand,
Yeah.
but you're not actively writing a document.
Oh, yeah.
You're submitting feedback or letters, right?
So by the 8th, yeah, we're, if I'm gathering everything here, we're hoping to have a fairly complete document with all of the comments incorporated. And then, yeah, if there are any rough edits, maybe at the 8th meeting, we can incorporate those and then send it out and draft the letters to go out to the committees along with it, and then we're good.
Is the,
Eli, do you feel like that's accurate? I just. It's helpful to ask that
Yes,
question.
yes.
Sorry, which part exactly?
That essentially by the January 8th meeting, that we should have a pretty solid document. We would need to do some fine tweaking, and then be able to send that document to all of those other organizations where we would need to essentially have them write in a letter of like buy-in, yes, we
Yeah.
need this department, this, committee support this plan.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. That's my understanding.
Yeah, like, don't disband us the next meeting.
no,
Like,
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get a timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying, so the other assumption then is 1, 4, and 7 are only going through one round of reviews, where the others went through effectively 2. So,
That's a good point.
so I'm just just working on that. Should the plan be like the week of the 1st that Eli's got another draft of 147 for the committee to like bless?
Well, theoretically, we will have all the sections and draft maps by the,
by the
before
8th,
Christmas,
before, the draft map.
because our comments were fed back to you.
Yeah, I guess it would be one review of the sections individually, but then they can be reviewed as part of the entire draft plan as well.
Before the 8th,
So-
yeah.
It would be more 2 compared to 3 for the other.
Yeah.
Because you would have another opportunity to review them, just not on their own as their own section.
And some sections take more review than others, so.
I'm not trying to put pressure, I'm just trying to determine a timeline, right? So that we can say whether, I just picked the 8th as the date, but if you tell me it's the 30th, I don't care, right? I'm just you know,
Well, it'll be after the eighth.
Yeah,
Right.
but
yeah, it's just
I
trying,
would
so
say-
you know you're working towards the timeline, and if you miss the timeline, you can at least say, adjust it, but right now, if you don't have a timeline, you don't know what you're working.
I would say the end of January, that we would be hoping to take it to, DCR and say, here you go, take it.
Yeah.
So,
Which means we have to get to committees by the end of the eighth that week.
Yeah,
and we're
for them to be able to review.
And they should probably have a heads up that this thing's coming.
Right.
I get.
Yeah, because our meeting is on the 9th,
Right,
so.
Yeah.
You know, if the draft goes out on the 8th, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can.
we've also been talking about it for a
Right.
little while too,
But depending on what you're asking committee, I mean,
Some
I
of the
don't know
others
if the
haven't
committees are
even-
reviewing the whole thing,
don't know
or
about
they're
it.
reviewing sections, or what you're asking of them to actually sign off on, so you can actually get something earlier potentially, right?
So I would want to give them the whole thing, and just say, according to the needs and the wants of your area, does this seem like it?
Right, but, I mean, you could give them the whole plan that comes out on the 19th effectively, right? With these comments and say, here's the whole plan, we're still revising it, but these are the sections we'd like you to bless, right? Keeping in mind, there might be edits to the other sections, but this is the area that we want to know that you're okay with, right, or whatever, So then you don't have to necessarily wait for you to approve the whole plan for them to kind of sign off, right?
I don't know, would they vote? Would Concom vote to approve without seeing the final draft as a whole?
I can't imagine.
Or you can,
not,
I mean-
not many people would
Yeah.
feel comfortable with that.
I think having them have a look at it preliminary.
Oh, yeah.
preliminary
Yeah.
Would be great.
Because that's.
It would be more like
But-
you have changes
yeah,
in what's made.
because then they don't necessarily vote to approve it, but then you can say, this is the plan, and then you can say, this is what changed between what you saw on the 19th and what you saw on the 8th. So
Now we're
then-
going back to your letter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that'd be
so they
great.
can kind of conditionally approve it pending final plan approval.
Can we send them a form on
Yeah, of course.
Sign this.
But,
Make it really easy.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's,
but then the other committees that don't, I mean, if you want like sustainability or like Park and Rec, if you meet right after, you're gonna have to tell them the urgency if you need them to call a special meeting for this, or,
Yeah.
you need to give them a deadline too.
Yeah.
Right, so,
that's a good point. So, yeah,
and I guess, do we have the list of all the? I mean, I think.
I'm starting to write down like all the people,
Yeah,
the
'cause-
committees to reach out to.
Who's not on it?
I mean, pretty much everybody.
Can come.
No,
They'll get
I
the
mean-
bill at the end of it.
Well, I mean, if there, a lot of
EHS
the
is
stuff,
probably gonna be sort of kind of on it, Shade Tree Committee, I mean,
Right.
it's.
Well, I guess, who actually needs to endorse it? That's the.
I don't know if the state has an actual list of required approvers or, endorsers,
right?
but
I
I
don't
think the
think
more
so.
that we have, the better.
Do you know that, Eli? There's a,
It's only selectmen. I would think they would be
Yeah.
concerned.
I'm voting against it.
well, it's a good thing you're not here on the eighth.
What does it say there? But who endorses?
I don't, that's just looking at that, I don't. Who endorsed the last one?
The last one was in.
I can pull that up.
And was that actually, it might not included in the OSRP.
They're usually on a cover letter. It's not in the PDF though.
Does the ACON have to endorse it? Or should they? You guys don't need enough to actually.
Yeah, that would take 6 months. I mean, it's right there.
You get a form.
But yeah, when this thing actually gets produced, let's get every page. I copy that every other page.
Yeah, oh, that'd be great,
That's
yeah.
helpful. So.
The suspense is killing me like that.
This says, planning board, chief elected official, and regional planning agency. Letters of review from these groups and individuals must be included in the final plan submitted to DCS. Letters reviewed from boards of health, appeals, recreation, and conservation are desirable.
Board of Health and Appeals.
Oh, cool. So it's
Interesting. I still am never sure if this is actually the full one.
Yeah.
But the only two I see is planning board and park and rec.
Yeah, I don't think we asked.
There's gotta
to see it
be-
last time.
Yeah,
So
seems-
MAPC,
But MAPC, I mean, that's not gonna be.
Yeah, MAPC, since they were so heavily involved with the last plan, it might be a little easier to get a letter from. I don't know if the people involved
Or harder.
or sure, sure.
So what were the required ones real quick?
So it was like regional planning.
yeah, it was planning board, chief elected official, and regional planning agency.
But you also said ZBA and Board of Health or something?
Desirable
Hmm.
was Board of Health, ZBA, Recreation, COMSCOM.
I find ZBA and Board of Health very odd.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably good for water quality.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you got zoning
Yeah,
regulations.
maybe,
in there.
yeah. Whatever,
we can certainly
It's
send
desirable, so. we don't have-
whatever we need.
whatever it takes. We'll get it done.
Who is our chief elected official? Sarah, the select board?
The board as a whole is the chief elect. Yeah.
There's the-
I am for it.
Chief elections official, yes.
Anyway,
All right, so it sounds like we've got a solid plan moving forward. So we'll await those sections, and then we'll send individually the comments to Eli, and we'll meet again on January 8th with a second review of everybody's comments once those are compiled again, and we'll go from there. But I think we're in really good shape. And in the meantime, if, we could all just go back to our constituents and just mention, at our next meetings perhaps that, the plan will essentially be complete fairly soon. And then if we can get those, draft sections to those boards as a preliminary, viewing before sending out the final to them for the endorsement letters, I think that'd be great. Did I get everything?
Is the ADA self-evaluation piece, is that part of the statistical needs assessment?
no. So the self-evaluation was, I'm totally spacing the guy's name. I feel terrible. Nate, he was lovely. So, Nate came out from Dodson and Blinker and actually physically looked at all of the locations, to determine, do they meet the requirements, what things would need to be changed and amended. And essentially that would be that list of, what we would need to work on to develop, ADA accessibility. So that is something, it would be nice to be able to send that to, we have a disabilities commission here, for them to look through that and just kind of review that.
Yeah, I can type that up and send it.
Okay.
so for endorsement letters, water should be on that list too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Clean Lakes.
Clean Lakes, yeah. School, perhaps?
For the endorsement, would we need an actual letter from them or just a vote that they can say, yeah, we voted on January 9th to,
Usually there's them a document.
but it sounds like there's minimum stuff, but we're gonna get letters from, like, as many as we can get, I guess.
So I would suggest you draft a letter and send to the boards and
Yeah.
fill in.
We put this on the letterhead.
Well, I mean, like, that's the one from, Marin from 2016.
But typically all the boards do write a letter.
Oh, this
we
is when
did-
she sent it out.
Yeah, we did a similar one, with Park and Rec.
Get published in the document.
This is just her sending us a document,
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Where are the other ones? Sorry, go. Sorry.
but that's.
We can probably send out a draft letter and just write in your name to the committee and sign it. Right.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can make it a Mad Lib thing.
Now we're talking.
They've been there somewhere.
So are there gonna be printed copies as well as online copies?
Oh,
Yeah.
the final plan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to get a few printed copies.
So how many?
It was probably in the contract, wasn't it? So,
Yeah, I don't recall just how many. Eli, do you remember how many printed copies we requested at the end of,
I don't know, but I can review the contract.
Yeah, usually there's some in the library, but sometimes people like to have them in their office.
Yeah, because Alicia and Amy should definitely have copies of the new plan in paper format, Marna.
I mean, it looks like you're probably 10 or 15 at least printed copies.
Yeah, last time you cut down from having quite a few to having actually probably too few.
Yeah,
Like in Concord, they made massive amounts and sent it out to everyone. But, you know,
Yeah, well.
pocket.
yeah,
I'll be right back.
It's okay.
The answer is 5.
All
Is-
falling
how
apart.
many?
oh, 5,
Okay, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, print some, it doesn't cost that much more.
Yeah,
Have some other ones.
and we will
Here,
have it
maybe,
in form, so if we could have,
Did that
you know,
one.
more
but it
copies
was almost not
printed
so much,
after
so I
we
think
get the
it's just a
initial one
copy
from,
of everything.
Eli.
Okay. I
But,
didn't see the maps.
yeah, we can definitely make more.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, it's gonna be usable document. It's nice having a little bit easier having it printed there. You can try to read it online, especially given more of a computer system they put on, which was not easy to use last time.
Yeah, scrolling through online is definitely more difficult,
Yeah.
But we'll, yeah, we'll work to get a bunch of
Yeah.
Hebrew ones for people to flip
but
through.
it's so much better when it's, falling out of the binding.
Yeah, better binding next time.
And also on the back side of that last sheet it says public comments. I mean, usually people write in as well. Those also get printed in the document.
Yeah,
That is actually that's the planning board chief elected official and planning agency,
oh,
because it's under the public comment section.
Yeah, but in general, the general public also can comment when it gets printed. Yeah.
perfect. Well, I do believe that you've got everything sorted out, for our next meeting and, got a solid plan moving forward. Is there anything else that, you want to touch on before we adjourn the meeting for tonight? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you so much as always, Eli, and we'll look
Thank
forward to seeing everything compiled in the next couple of days. And
24 hours.
There's 24 hours and playing this link for you.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eli.